Ugh. It takes a lot of talent to fuck up a film that's part of a series that couldn't be any simpler to make. Don't get me wrong, I like it when horror sequels try to do something different, but it's when they do something different, it's not only a terrible idea to begin with, but that fucks up the entire character's mythology, that really makes me despise a film. Remember how much I hated in Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers when they change everything about Michael and basically take out all the horror out the series? Well, Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, is very similar. As the box office figures for Jason Takes Manhattan were the worst the series had ever seen, Paramount sold the pictures over to New Line Cinema. The two companies have been trying to create a Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees crossover, but the film had been stuck in development hell since 1987. And then when New Line finally acquired the rights for Friday the 13th, they had to wait even longer so they could wait for production of New Nightmare to finish. Sean Cunningham, the creator of the series, decided that a great way to get Jason back in the public eye would be to create a final sequel that would bridge the way for Freddy vs. Jason. The film we got was probably the biggest middle finger fans of anything have gotten since Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. I mean, tell me if there's anything good about it at all in the slightest. Well, except for one or two good kills. I'm not even exaggerating, it's literally one or two. The film starts with Jason being killed by the FBI. You see, that right there is a good sign where the main killer of the film is killed off within 5 minutes. So the coroner is filling out a report on Jason's body that has been shot and blown into pieces when he notices that the heart is still beating. Then he randomly starts eating it. This somehow gives him Jason's soul, so he starts going around killing people. Jason, as the coroner, is constantly going around looking for new bodies to transfer himself into. At the same time, he's working his way up to possessing his sister's daughter called Jessica. Jessica's ex-boyfriend and baby daddy Stephen is arrested after he is found holding Jessica's mother's body. Stephen finds out from a bounty hunter that the only way to kill Jason is to destroy his heart. But later on they completely scrap that, and he finds out that the only way to kill Jason is for another Voorhees to kill him. So then he has to convince Jessica to help him kill Jason and finally send him to hell. Those who haven't watched it may be wondering, well, what's so bad about it? It sounds okay. Well, here is what's wrong with it. There is maybe 10 minutes of Jason in the entire film. When you know that the only reason people are going to see this film is because of Jason, the worst possible thing you could do is barely give him any Jason. Even the writer Adam Marcus said he did this on purpose, so when fans actually got Jason, it would be like a prize. A prize for what? Having to sit and pay to watch a horrible movie? Jason looks absolutely terrible in this film. He looks way too fat and not as muscly as he did in the previous films. I don't blame Kane Hodder though, I actually blame the cinematographer for showing off plenty of angles where we get to see his gut. Jason's mask looks awful as well. It looks like a cheap latex mask he brought from a party shop that has been stretched across his face. Another thing that really pissed off the fans was how there is no exposition. Jason appears out of nowhere and there's no explanation as to how he survived and came back after drowning in toxic waste in Jason Takes Manhattan. This is because the writer Adam Marcus wanted to ignore all the sequels apart from the first film and parts of the second film. He wanted the fans to just ignore what happened in the films that they had grown to love. But this isn't the only time Adam Marcus has done something like this to a horror franchise. He recently wrote the new Texas Chainsaw movie, and we know how big of a fuck you that was. When Jason's soul takes over a police officer, he actually speaks.
Of course.
Stay there!
Give me the knife.
I thought you were dead.
You alone?
Don't come any closer.
Right there, they broke rule number 1 of the Friday the 13th movies. Jason never talks. In a film like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, it's alright because it's a sequel to the remake and doesn't actually connect to the previous films. This means they can break random rules every once in a while because they're basically setting new ones. But Jason doesn't talk in any of the original series movies. At one point near the end, Jason also turns into a weird rat thing and looks for a new body to switch into. Since when has Jason been a fucking rat? He is reanimated flesh, a walking zombie that cannot be killed, no matter how many times he's drowned, stabbed, or blown up. So of course you know what I'm gonna say, don't you? Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday is not only the worst in the series, but one of the worst films I've ever had to watch. If I ever made a top 10 worst sequels or even worst films movie, this would be right near the top for blatant disregard to any of the other sequels. Sean Cunningham, the producer of this film and the creator of the franchise, also admitted he'd never seen any of the sequels, and you can definitely tell that from watching this film. It's a terrible, extremely boring pile of putrid bullshit. I promise you, I will do an hour-long analysis review of it, just like I'm gonna do with Jason Takes Manhattan. I'm giving this film the lowest rating on my rank board, a G-.